What made you to leave your 300k job?
It's very different working in someone else's business and treating it like your own business. You know, how do I get to $1 million? How do I get to 10 million? How do I get to 100 million?
How did you build up the concept of petty privilege?
I didn't leave the job to start Pretty Privilege.
Okay. What is the biggest fear you have in the day one when you started petty privilege?
My biggest fear is always failure, and that's what always motivates me. Failure is my biggest fear. Letting the people around me down is a close second to that.
What is your best advice to the young Aussie people who wanted to quit their daily job?
Don't do it. I think, the biggest thing would be don't do it if you're not ready to do it.
How did you hit your 20k subscribers?
I can't take any responsibility for it. I think we've just got an incredible team and a really good value proposition. Our biggest barrier right now is convincing people that to be involved with Pretty Privilege is not too good to be true.
You should be very smart at choosing the marketing strategy. So tell me the craziest marketing strategy you chose and failed, and what have you learned from that?
The good recipe for the street content is be shameless.
How do you handle criticism or negative feedback on your business?
It's hard not to take negative feedback personally, but I always use it as an opportunity to learn and to grow.
So how you are going to take petty privilege globally? What are your strategies for the global market?
I think each market has to be approached differently. The UK seems to be the most liked market, so we'll approach it in that way. But from a global perspective, no two things are the same.
I would like you guys to join our community and wait for the inspiring videos. Today we are sitting down with Loughlan Dalton, the mastermind behind Petty Privilege, the fastest lifestyle growing club. Hi Loughlan, how are you?
Good, and how are you?
I'm always good. We are trying to do the podcast from a while. So tell me about you more.
At the moment, obviously, we know each other through Pretty Privilege, being a brand partner of Le Cabra. And apart from that, that's taking up 99% of my time at the moment. And for Pretty Privilege, I'm the co-founder and CEO.
Okay, super. So what made you to leave your 300k job?
It's a good question, and it's one that I still ask myself when times are tough. I think it's very different working in someone else's business and treating it like your own business to then why don't you just do it for yourself? And at the age I was at, $300,000 a year, it seemed like incredible, but it's also very dangerous to make that kind of money so young because you cap your expectations. And if you hit that at 24, 23, when I was making that kind of money, I think the novelty of it wore off. And I'm not saying that it's not an incredible amount of money with an incredible job. It's more that I'm always, and that's part of my personality, that's how I was able to earn that money in that role, is because I'm always like, what's next? And I think when I was there, I sort of was like, all right, this is great, but how do I get to $1 million? How do I get to 10 million? How do I get to 100 million? And how do I take over the world? So
it's all about the mindset in the first place. So because I wanted to ask you this question in the first place. Usually in Australia, the young generation who is earning more than 300k, they never leave their jobs in the first place. They will try to make sure that they are in the safe position to play the game properly. So instead of choosing 300k, you left it in the back and you jumped into entrepreneur journey, which is super harder. So I wanted to ask you more about this journey. How did you build up the concept of petty privilege?
It's a great question as well. And I didn't leave the job to start Pretty Privilege.
Okay.
I left the job to do something else.
Okay.
And I didn't even know what that was myself. So I think I was having a bit of a quarter life crisis. And, I quit with no other work lined up, a mortgage, and a lot of, external responsibilities that, I'm still accountable for that I didn't know how I was going to fulfill. And I think I'm a big believer in not having a plan B. And I think a lot of people disagree with that mindset, and that's fair enough. All I can speak is to my own experience. But I think as soon as you get rid of the plan B, you're forced to create a solution. And any good entrepreneur, any good business person in general, and I've worked with some incredible business people I've learned a lot from, a solutions-based mindset always trumps another route, and it's always about overcoming the problem rather than going a different direction. So when I left, I didn't know what I was going to do. I was involved in some investment stuff and, you know, did some freelance recruiting just through channels I already had set up, just to pay the bills. And yeah, we were just, we funnily enough, I was swimming at the beach at, I think it was 6:30 in the morning, middle of winter, probably this time last year. So it wouldn't have been the middle of winter, but it was still fucking cold.
Yeah.
And yeah, I got out of the water, and I remember this older bloke walked up to me and he said, "Mate, what the hell are you doing?" And I looked at him, I was like, I don't know, like apparently it's good for you. And you know, I was in a bit of the habit, I live by the beach, and I try to swim most mornings. And this sort of ties back to the compounding effect of doing the right thing when no one's looking, which is another thing I think all good entrepreneurs have in common, is just continuously doing it when no one's there to say, good job. So anyway, I walked out of the water and he said, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I live just there. I'm going to have a hot shower. I'll be fine." And he's like, "Mate, you're pretty keen." And I was like, "Yeah, I try my hardest." And you know, he said, "Oh, funnily enough, I live just there." And he was my neighbour from 4 houses down in a house much nicer than my own. And I said, "Naturally, what do you do?" And you know, he sits on the board of a couple of public tech companies and did some capital raising. And the way he described himself, which I found incredible, he's described himself as a street fighter. And I consider myself like that in the business world as well. And I think you're very much the same. We were just talking about it. Yes. You know, we didn't go to university. We probably didn't have the traditional education. And, you know, we look at things left of center. And his mentality with business was very much similar. He's structuring deals, he's creating opportunities rather than letting them come to him. So we got along incredibly well, and we caught up the next day for a coffee, and you know, we decided to syndicate some an investment together with some of our network. And through the process of getting to know him, we were talking about multiple other businesses. And there was businesses like Unidays, Amex, and a big one was LMCT Plus, which had done incredibly well.
Crazy. Ellen, I want to talk about that one.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I regularly keep watching Adrian Hotel because his penthouse was near my store.
Oh, okay,
like when I was sitting in the office in the you know, first floor, I'll be seeing at his apartment from here. You know, yeah. Yeah,
and I think he's also someone that's probably not the traditional business person, which is such an inspiration, I think, for people like us. So we went from, you know, looking at these different businesses to then we were at I was at a party one night, and I was with my partner, Georgia, who's the co-founder and CMO of Pretty Privilege. And obviously at the time she was just my partner, and she was working in media, and she's incredibly smart, incredibly talented, puts me to shame completely. And we got onto this topic with another friend of ours, Talia, who's she owns the Social Click, the Content Click, and you know, is involved in a whole bunch of e-commerce brands, and is just one of the most incredibly talented business savvy people ever met. And she's also the Forbes 30 under 30 and a whole bunch of other incredible accolades. So typically whenever I have good ideas, I always bring them up with people smarter than I am, because I'll then find out if it's a good idea or not. And I raised it with Georgia and Talia, and we talked about it, and we were like, holy shit, there is a gap here that's not being addressed. And yeah, that was essentially how the conversation started, and that's our co-founding team. And then I brought it up with Wes. Obviously, he had a bit more connections in the capital raising space, and probably the corporate governance side of, you know, starting and scaling. And between that and my, you know, commercial experience, and Georgia and Talia on separate ends of media, Talia's in the digital, Georgia was in the media, very data focused, pricing and packaging. we had a very complementary team, as well as also all being very good friends. And we sat down and said, let's fucking do it. Yeah.
That's how you created the petty privilege.
Yeah, and then, it's been workshopped and, refined and brought in and pivoted until we've shaped something beautiful. So there's, thousands of phone calls and, tens and thousands of hours between the group of us to get to the point where we decided we wanted to move on with the business. We also had a very early sort of employee come in who's like pretty much there from the start of the business. His name's Jean-Paul, and he's someone that worked with me at my previous company that I was working in, and he had a big belief in my dream, and he's really been a crucial part in developing and executing the growth and the strategy of Pretty Privilege. He's also a very key part of the business.
That's really amazing. I was related to plan A and plan B. Actually, I'm also the same kind of person. If I have a plan A, if I have plan B, the plan B is to make sure that plan A is working.
Yes.
That's it. There's no plan B. If you like something, you need to put your soul and heart into that till it works.
Yep.
If you're leaving in the between, that's like you're not committed for the process.
Yeah,
and the young generation should really concentrate on these small things, changes, that gives you biggest success.
Yep.
And what is the biggest fear you have in the day one when you started Petty Privilege?
I think the biggest fear was the fear I had of comparison, and this gets knocked out of you pretty quickly in the entrepreneurial world. If you're too harsh on yourself, you won't survive. And I think coming from such a high-paying role into starting my own business, I think I'd set high expectations for myself to surpass what I'd already achieved. And I think my biggest fear is always failure. And that's what always motivates me. Failure is my biggest fear. Letting the people around me down is a close second to that. And, I value the rest of the team's time so deeply that I would never want to let them down or let our brand partners down or everything we've built up now. And now we've got a community of 20,000 people. I don't want to let them down either. So that was the big thing starting, was just, the fear of not executing correctly and not living up to what is a very clear, huge gap in the market that, I would lose sleep over that.
Just fear is the biggest challenge you faced. Is there any other challenges you faced while building a
Fear is like probably the biggest mental challenge. I think there's a lot more like logistical challenges that come into building a business, whether that's obviously capital is massive challenge. Like, how do you start a business without being able to fund it yourself? I think finding a good team is a huge challenge. I think having a plan and then executing on that plan is a massive challenge, and making smaller steps in between those goals, especially when things go wrong constantly. Jesus, building a website's a challenge. Yeah. There's a whole bunch of smaller logistical challenges. But I think the fear of failure is what pushes me to overcome those challenges.
Yeah, that's pretty good, because you know exactly what you're doing. So you are passionate to give your whole soul to the project. That's it. It works. So what is your best advice to the young Aussie people who wanted to quit their daily job?
Don't do it.
Why? You did it. So
again, I've done it and I'm doing it, and I'm not sure I would consider where we're at right now. I'm not happy with it at all. I want better value for our community, bigger brand partners, a bigger impact. So we're not there yet. So it's hard for me to say do exactly what I'm doing, because I'm still working it out. But I think, the biggest thing would be, don't do it if you're not ready to do it. And, fortune favors the brave. I'm a big believer. So just...
if you don't know exactly what you're doing, it's waste of putting your energy into the wrong thing. It will make you... That's the reason they start feeling that am I capable... They then question themselves, saying that am I capable of doing these things. The first place, that goes wrong.
Yeah, exactly. And I think if you're working a shitty job that you hate, that whatever it's paying, if you're not happy getting up in the morning, you're in the wrong job.
Yes.
And if you're sitting in bed on TikTok at night for hours, you've probably got too much time. If you've got all of these other excuses and barriers that facilitate a lifestyle that you're not particularly happy with, then, you know, find your passion. And that doesn't have to be starting a business. That could be traveling. That can be, I don't know. That's up to the, you know, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. And what's beautiful for me is business, and I love it, and I'm very passionate about it. But that's not to say my decision's the best decision for everyone else. I think everyone's got their own unique experience in this life. And, you know, all you should be doing is trying to facilitate your own unique experience to the extent your passion allows you. But yeah, I think there's just a lot of people that are doing things every day that negatively affect them and wondering why they're not happy with their situation. And to those people, go out there and make a change, make a decision and do something brave.
I think it's all about self-analyzing themselves. In the first place, if you are not interested or if you're not enjoying something, don't do it. Just change your daily habits. Small daily habits, if you try to change it, that gives you a lot of a big impact in the future. You need to, and I think that's all about self-analyzing in the first place, saying that, okay, I don't want to do this one. I know hundreds of people who complains about their daily job and they still do the same job for years. What is the purpose of you being in that position?
Yeah.
So that's one. So how did you hit your 20K subscribers?
I think just, I can't take any responsibility for it. I think we've just got an incredible team and a really good value proposition. Our biggest barrier right now is convincing people that to be involved with Pretty Privilege, it's not too good to be true. We're a completely free platform at the moment, and we're offering every month different prize giveaways. We're giving away a holiday to Uluwatu at the moment, completely paid for. We're giving away smaller prizes in collaboration with our brand partners bi-weekly, and we're offering discounts and services with wellness, lifestyle, beauty, fashion, e-commerce brands, and bespoke experiences. We've got a few sought-after nightclubs that are about to give free entry to Pretty Privilege members. We've got restaurants that will be giving a cocktail on arrival. We've got a very big sandwich deli that I can't announce yet, actually putting a Pretty Privilege sandwich on the menu. So there's our platform is multifaceted, and there's a huge value proposition to join. And yeah, so for anyone that's worried that it's too good to be true, it's not. There's a lot more to come, and it's, in my opinion, it's not even good enough yet. So every day it's just about moving the needle forward and increasing the value proposition for our community.
So you already partnered with 60 brands, more than 60 brands. So what are the partner brands getting from you?
This is the best thing about running Pretty Privilege. I think we are literally a value add-on to any brand that wants to associate with a Gen Z, millennial, feminine-based community. And we're a channel for that brand to get exposure to that community. And on the other side, that brand, our community, gets an exclusive perk with that brand. So the value proposition, no one loses. And all I do is facilitate the relationship. So any brand that wants to access that community, that wants to be a part of something bigger than them, that wants to connect with even bigger brands. So we've got brands from all shapes and sizes, you know, SMEs all the way to we have Endota Spa as a partner Australia-wide. So
that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So all the subscribers or the whoever is the members in the Pretty Privilege can go and get free access in the pubs which are mentioned in the brand collaborations, which is pretty good actually. So I think
and discounts on services, discounts online. You know, we've got someone like Brow Theory, which is one of the best eyebrow technicians. They've got a couple of locations, and you know, you're getting discounts on their services when you're going to get your eyebrows threaded, all the way to, you know, discounts, like I said, at Endota Spa and Bay Juice. We've got a whole bunch of really amazing, cool, supportive brand partners. And on top of that, we're also doing events. So we have sort of 4 tiers to our business, and 4 pillars that really provide value to our community in each level. So number 1 is the prize giveaway. Number 2 is the brand partners that are providing the bespoke discounts and exclusive services. Then number 3 would be events. We're doing a whole bunch of different events. And then number 4 would be all of the content we produce through Instagram, TikTok, our website. We do blog posts in collaboration with industry professionals, providing insights that people really want to learn and really want to know. So it's not just one thing. The reason why we've got such an engaged community is because we're hitting it from every single angle and just trying to provide as much value as we possibly can.
I think you're pretty famous in TikTok. So how important is for young Aussie startups to get into the social media and how to use the social media?
It's a good question. And I think we're still, and everyone's still just sort of making their own way up on the platform. And there's no set way to do it because it changes so quickly. The only thing we've done extremely well is consistency. And I think for any business, consistency to your audience is such an important thing because then people can rely on something. So on TikTok, we're posting 2 to 3 times per day, and we've done that since we've launched without missing a single day. So all the way from consistency, then we move into analytically viewing each video, working out what works, what engages, and then letting a customer or community-led approach where we're analyzing where our community wants us to produce content in and what sort of questions they want us to ask, and then, leveraging that insight to then provide them actually what they want. So I think giving your database, your community in whatever business you're working with, giving your customer what they want is the best thing to do. And I think too many people are trying to reinvent the wheel and think of all of these, left of the box strategies, but just listen. And I think you can learn a lot just from, shutting the fuck up and just listening.
In the first place, when you start listening, you will get ideas. That gives you first approach to learn and grow yourself.
Yeah.
So can you tell me the craziest marketing stunt you used in the LinkedIn or Instagram or TikTok?
Okay, so the funniest one was, I think we just launched our waitlist. This is just before we launched in May. And we had Jean-Paul, JP, get in a pink morph suit and go to the Taylor Swift concert that was happening at the MCG. And in that pink morph suit, we had this huge sign that said, and just we can add a clip of the sign. I'll send to you. You can get it edited into this. We had a huge sign that said Swifties scan here. So for all the Taylor Swift fans, and it took them to our website to sign up as a member. And it was hilarious. And the funny thing was, it was so blatantly obvious in the middle of right at the gate of the MCG that we had all of the event organizers walking past assuming we had a permit to be there. And we didn't. We got kicked out by the staff, then we got moved on by the police, and then we got moved on by the council. And then, of course, we went round to the other side and did the exact same thing until we actually had one of the people from the council rip the sign up. And, that was really disheartening until we went back and printed off another one and went back the next night and did the exact same thing. So, there's I'm not encouraging anyone to, break the council's policies, but it's one of those things that if you're trying to make an impact in business, you're going to have to be told no, you're going to have to be laughed at, and you're going to have to push the boundaries so someone sets the boundaries. Because if you start operating in the safe, easy zone, you're never going to push the needle forward.
Yes.
And I think we got such massive social media traction from that. We got hundreds and thousands of people go onto our wait list. It was just an incredibly good team building stunt to go through that together, and also like a great opportunity for us to engage with our target market, because everyone at the Taylor Swift concert, typically that is our target market. I think 80% of them would have been. And to have them scan and be like, wait, what's this? And for me to be there and have that conversation with every single one of those people, I think one conversation in person is like 1 million views, in my opinion, and you have that sort of impact, and you have the longevity of that customer now.
That's really so. Are you doing any new stunts in the weekend? Weekend is coming on Saturday. Yeah,
we had JP on the go boat last weekend, going through the Yarra River on a go boat, holding up a sign saying, "Is this demure?" which is like a TikTok trend at the moment. And you know, we've got. I'm trying not to give anything away, but we've got some crazy stuff coming up. I'm a big believer in guerrilla marketing, and it's really nice that on social media you can track metrics. Whereas for guerrilla marketing, I like the concept that you can't track it, and you can have as big or a little as an impact as you want to perceive. But then you never know. There was a few times, months after the Taylor Swift thing, I would say, "Oh, hey, I work with Pretty Privilege," and someone would be like, "From the Taylor Swift concert," and it's like, fuck, like
we need that recognition in the business. That's what we wanted.
But the funny thing is, that's the one thing they remember, not the thousands of pieces of content, not the millions of views on TikTok, not the holidays we're giving away. They just remember that guy in the morph suit at the Taylor Swift concert being ushered out by the police. And you know, I think that's beautiful as well. So I never would take away from the guerrilla marketing side, and something that as our budget increases, we're only going to quadruple down on.
You should be very smart at choosing the marketing strategy. So tell me the craziest marketing strategy you chose and failed, and what have you learned from that?
Okay, what hasn't worked? I think anything, typically anything that I have full control of doesn't work. And that's why we've got, you know, Georgia, Talia and JP, they do so much more than I do in that capacity. But anything unauthentic, I think, being authentic is the best way to sell, and to be open and honest about what you're doing and your value proposition, and to get real conversations and real feedback is where we have our best engagement. So on the other end of that scale, we have content that's too heavily curated, anything scripted, that's where we're failing. And we don't do that stuff anymore. It's all of our interviews on TikTok, and you know, you've heard it here first, none of it's scripted. The interviewer has planned questions, but no one's ever prepped. Everyone's always a random person, and that's where we have our most success. So, yeah, I think authenticism is the key to good content.
Yeah, it's like being natural, not
being honest. I think the days of influencer marketing, the way they used to be, are over, and I don't think you can get a famous influencer to post a discount code and have 10 million people use that code anymore, especially within Australia. I think the audience is too discerning and too engaged by choice that they see through that nowadays. And I think the best, especially call to action, if you want sales, sign-ups, it all has to come through genuine value, not perceived value.
So what is that unique strategy you will take to get more subscribers from Aussies?
The unique strategy is just to increase the value proposition to where it can't be ignored. I think too many people look to create perceived value and trick people into signing up or purchasing. We're not doing that. That's why we're free. We want time to build trust with our audience and not create perceived value. I want to create actual value and save you money and add value to your life. Provide content that makes you smile and provide discounts that actually are going to affect the bottom line. Our prize giveaways are very aspirational, but our partner brands and our discounts are actually very much usable. And you know, that was the big thing when we first started, is we don't want 5% off Gucci, because you still have to spend $3,000.
Nobody's going to buy it.
And that's what I mean. We want to have 20% off brands that you're actually spending your money with, and that's where we're saving money in your wallet, getting involved in your everyday spending.
That's really. So can you tell me what is the good recipe to do the street content?
The good recipe for the street content is be shameless. Be completely shameless and be authentic and have good questions lined up that are going to provoke good answers. A bit like our conversation now, like there's a few questions that you've got pre-prepared, but the conversation flows naturally and you let that flow.
I give the same suggestions to everybody. I don't even say I try to not to even give them any questions. Many people will try to ask me, oh, what we are going to talk, and can you tell me? Like, just leave it. Just leave it and be like a normal person. I'll be asking the completely random questions. You just answer me. Just be like a natural talker and explain what you're doing. That's it. That is the main topic we need to show to the audience out there. It's easy. So how do you pump your daily content?
There's a few different moving parts. We have our internal team doing stuff with the street talk specifically. We have Georgia managing the content at a high level. We use Tyler's agency, The Social Click, for a big bulk of, especially of our Instagram content. That stuff that's really clean and really aesthetic. And yeah, we have all of these wheels working together in conjunction with the same branding, the same messaging, the same goal.
So what is your best suggestions for the Aussie startups who are struggling in the social media?
Get in front of the camera yourself, hit it hard. Quantity over quality, that's probably an unpopular opinion, but especially on TikTok, quantity over quality. Get out there, start filming. You don't need a big budget. Get an iPhone, get a mic off Temu, and start asking people questions, engaging with your audience, and don't be afraid if no one views it, because then no one fucking sees anyway. So
that is the ROI you need to do. You need to understand the market, then you need to start pumping the content according to the requirement. Maybe, okay, you are doing from 1 month, I don't think so, nobody's watching. That's fine. Just keep doing it consistency. One day, one video will raise you to like 1 million viewers immediately. Yep. And when you just wake up and see your mobile, the views will be like on the top.
And you know, that's the funny thing is, it's never the video you think that's going to go nuts, that goes nuts.
Yes.
And we've had, like, as I was just saying yesterday, we posted a video. It's on 1.5 million views on TikTok right now. And straight interview comparing Aussie fashion brands. Because there's so many differing views on Aussie fashion brands and which is better, it created so much engagement in the comments. And we've just seen the videos, the views, and our followers actually shoot up just due to that. But again, we've done other videos quite similar to that are sitting on 500 views. So I would just say, don't be too
shy.
Yeah, don't be shy. Don't be too hard on yourself. And I think there's so much content out there that everyone's got the memory of a goldfish anyway. So even if you fuck up, even if you embarrass yourself, who cares?
But doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Yeah, and there's not to quote Gary Vee too much, but I used to listen to a bit of him, and he was always just saying that it's cringe until it's not.
Yes.
And as long as you're happy to just take the cringe on the chin, and I'm a big believer, I don't care at all. Like, I get in front of the camera, I talk, I'm the same with you now.
Myself, I don't even if you are scared, that's where the game ends. Also, I'll say, okay, take a break, think what you're doing.
Yep.
Just try to give you 100%. Okay, maybe you're not good at that, but try to learn, check the process, what you're doing. From tomorrow, don't repeat the mistake. That's it, the game done. Yeah. Within maybe 10 or 20 days, you will be 10 times better than what you have imagined.
You'll be surprising the people that are critical of you.
Yes.
You know, and I think the people that are critical are typically the people that are jealous, and the people that you look up to and that you aspire to would probably give you encouragement for what you're doing rather than being critical to it. So I think also a big thing with content is be careful who you listen to, because everyone has opinions, but yeah, listen to the people doing better than you, not the people doing worse than you.
Yes, I think if you are the smartest person in the room, you can never grow.
Yep, you're in the wrong row.
Yeah, I give these suggestions to everybody, saying that if you go somewhere, if you feel that you are a smarter guy, just shut your mouth and ask the dumbest questions you ever known. So that's where you get the right response. Then see that you are not at the right spot and just leave and be in the position where you want it to be. Yes.
Yep.
So, and I think you have even worked with the real estate company. How did you build 140 team?
So no, that was with the wine group.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So we had a team of 120 at our office in Melbourne, and we had a couple of people over in Sri Lanka and the Philippines.
How is it going on?
Good. Yeah, you know what? The scaling of that business, I started when there was, I think, 12 to 15 staff. And, I worked closely with the owners of the company to get it to, the massive beast it was.
Yeah, it was big right now. I think more than 120 staff here in Sri Lanka.
Yeah, it's a big company. And, so the two guys that owned Oak Road Estate, they're very, very savvy, successful business people. And I just took it as the biggest privilege to work essentially as their right-hand man.
Yes.
And, their CFO as well of the business, incredibly smart in not just a financial sense, but an operational sense. And I took so much learning from the team of, Ezra, Philip, and Daniel. Just give them a quick shout out. But learnt a lot from those guys. And, they're a big testament to why I'm the way I am today in the way I approach business.
And that gives you a lot of opportunity to grow yourself by learning from the big people.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you feel that you are not comfortable asking the right question or asking a proper doubt, that's the game end.
Yeah, and I think just forget ego in business. If you look up to someone, go get them a coffee, try get a question out of them. Just so wherever you can get the opportunity to grow and to learn, it doesn't matter how you have that connection. The amount of people I've taken out for coffees, lunches, got their coffees, sat in on meetings, re-listen to meetings. You have to want to learn. And I think a big part of that is removing the ego from the learning process and thinking that, I'm too smart to re-listen to an interview, or I'm too smart to go get someone's coffee, or I've made too much money to, take a back seat in this conversation. And I think that's where there's so much opportunity missed.
Yes.
And I try to, if I ever feel like I'm getting too big from my boots, I've got, very good people around me that will tell me just to
you should not be ashamed to ask for a coffee. Just, if the person is good, if you feel that they are into same business or you want to learn some skills, just message them saying that, hey, let's have a coffee when you're free. Just go for coffee, share your knowledge, ask the questions you wanted. Then, that's the process. You build a proper relationship between each other.
And also, it's just like, if someone's going to put the time out of your day to have a coffee, who cares if you have to drive 45 minutes, an hour? I think people also limit what's possible by their own laziness.
Yes.
And the amount of people I've fucking driven an hour and a half to sit down with for 5 minutes just to get one little bit of information out of them, or especially raising capital, the amount of phone calls I've had in other countries and late night phone calls and Zoom meetings with gatekeepers and all of this shit. It's what you need to do. So I think also people are very limited by their perception of what success is. And success is about grinding. Success is about rejection. Success is about people not answering your phone calls, not replying to your emails. I think that's really what success is built upon.
Yeah, I think from myself, there is no proper definition for success. It's everyday learning process. That's it.
True.
If I'm good at something today, sometimes I'm not good at something yesterday. So I'll be learning every day. Every day I'll be taking the thing, because if I feel that I'm already successful, that's where my mind stops me to grow.
Yeah.
Yes, because subconsciously I feel that, okay, I'm already successful. So don't need to struggle much. Just be calm and enjoy the process. That's it. How do you hire your team?
Well, I think the best thing you can do in the early stages of a business is to use contractors and utilize contractors as much as humanly possible. I think especially when you're raising capital, it's important to be able to pull back on where you're spending and increase where you're spending at the drop of a hat. And if you have full-time employees, you don't have that luxury or that flexibility. Now, the quality may be slightly less, but the ability to pivot and move quick is increased. And I think that outweighs the quality slightly if you can manage contractors correctly. So we've utilized contractors in multiple ways. We use contractors in terms of videography, content, models, all the way to using and utilizing Talia's agency, which is incredible, the Social Click, to everyday tasks. Use Upwork, Fiverr, Airtasker. We use all of those things. Like, for example, we've just hired someone to do particular TikTok edits on Upwork,
and they're charging $10 to $15 per video. Now, the quality means we're going to have to manage that better, and I'm going to have to spend more time, or Jean-Paul's going to have to spend more time, or George is going to have to spend more time personally looking and evaluating the content and giving more feedback than you would to someone that's an employee that understands all the metrics. But the price is so much better and the flexibility is so much better that you have to utilize contractors. Now, if you're going to hire, especially in the early stages of a business, hire people that can handle working in a startup, because your role is very multidimensional. And especially in the early stages of a business, like there's roles that and jobs that we have on for tomorrow that they don't even have a job title or a category. It's just shit you need to get done.
They'll be managing all the things by themselves.
Exactly. And there's just so many different hats you have to wear in the early stages of a business. I know we're so lucky with JP especially. He's like, as I said, he's our first guy. And, you know, there's no responsibility too big for him to take off my hands. And there's also nothing too small that we wouldn't do together. Like, so he's there doing the TikToks with me. He's on the Go Boat and the Morph suit, but then he's also taking meetings with high profile brand partners. He's dealing with high-end influencers. He's curating events. So, you know, you have to wear a lot of different hats, and you have to, business is tough. So you have to work with people you enjoy working with. And I think that when you come to hiring, hire someone that can wear the storm, that you can celebrate the victories, but you can also survive all the losses.
That's really pretty good. So I want you to suggest young entrepreneurs who wanted to start their business right now, how to raise the funds.
Or if you look around this beautiful office, we're here at Hutchstone Capital. So Hutchstone Capital, if you need to raise money, that's just for them. But no, they've been really, really helpful. But from early stages of raising money, the smartest thing you can do is go out early to people you trust that are highly critical. I think that's the best advice I can give. So, and what I mean by going out early, if you need capital to facilitate your business and you can't generate that revenue within your business to then facilitate the next steps, there's two things you've got to weigh up. Either you get external capital, or you self-fund and you work a full-time job and you pay your wage into growing the business. But if you need $500,000, that's not you're going to have a very high-paying job and then still be working a second job. So you want to go out early. So approach people before you're sure that you're ready, and approach people you trust that aren't going to throw your naivety in your face, and let them help you guide the process, provide the feedback, explain where their pain points are, and then get back to work and address all those pain points. And leverage as many personal connections as you can leverage. And then when you've burned out all your personal connections, go to friends of friends, go to people you've worked with, go to friends of business partners, go to people that are in your industry is the smartest thing you can do. So you want to be approaching investors that can see the strategic implementations of your product. Now, for Pretty Privileged, it's amazing because we benefit so many brands. So for the more institutional type investors, we are a value add-on to all their portfolio brands. But if your product is more niche, you want to address people that understand and get your product, because that's where you're going to get the best feedback, because they've got comparison. And when someone understands your product, if it's a good product, typically there's a path forward for raising money. It might not be straight away. So again, that will get broken down for you. Make sure you ask why someone won't invest, understand what their hesitations are. And by conquering those hesitations, it doesn't mean you can go back to them the next week and they're going to invest. You might have lost your opportunity, but it just means for the next person, those questions are answered. And if you do that enough times and you meet with enough people, eventually you've got all the problems solved and someone will write you a check.
Yeah, that is we need to understand what investor exactly needs. So in your case, how would you encourage an highly net worth individual to invest in the Pretty Privilege?
So for Pretty Privilege, again, it's very different. We've got a very unique brand. We've got a very unique brand. We've got a huge gap in the market, and we've got significant traction in a data set and a community that's highly engaged, and a track record of brands that have worked with us. Not to mention that the founding team have past success in other industries that also contributes to raising capital. So yeah, any advice would be just lead with your best foot forward, be open, be honest, and be unapologetically ambitious. And don't think someone is too big to believe in your dream, and don't think your dream is too big to share with other people. I think it's very important to be certain about what you want to achieve, know how much money you need, know exactly where that money is going to be spent, and be open to incorporating a governance around that money so there is a structure for the investor to monitor that investment.
I think if your business plan or your business structure is properly designed, that's done. You can show the business plan to somebody and ask for how much money you wanted, and show them what are the strategies you are going to use in the first place, and show them the revenue capital, how much you are going to get back. That's it, done. They will, if the person is good enough, that's fine. He will.
And it's also one of those things that give yourself more time to fundraise than you're expecting, and raise more money than you think you need.
Yes.
Because you don't want to be falling, 50 or 100 grand short of your next milestone and having to re-raise and delaying your process months. Be open that you want to raise X amount to achieve X, Y, and Z milestones, and then give yourself a 20% buffer.
That's it.
And I think that's really good advice that, I wish I had early on. There's been times when fundraising's been a bit more rushed and less enjoyable than I think the process can be. But yeah, it's a bit of a grind, and it's always very confronting when someone's looking at your business through a microscope and picking apart and analyzing every single bit in a way that's not always a glass half full way, and I'm a glass half full guy. So it's just taking that and, wearing the punches and having a good answer for every single question, and not taking that as an insult, but taking every question, every intrusive sometimes question, as actually a compliment, because the more someone tries to understand the dream you're creating, the more invested they are in.
Yes.
So yeah,
you're very clear about what you're doing. That is the first step to make sure that the other person is understanding. And as you told, funding raising is a different process. I admire Simon Baird, the founder of Culture Kings.
Yes.
He never raised any funds. From the day one, I think it's been 16 years, he started his career just selling t-shirts from burning in online. Now he made it capital of his net worth is more than 600 million right now, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, he sold his company for 70% of a company for 300 million.
I think it was 600 million. And funnily enough, I've hit him up for capital recently.
Oh, did you start with him?
No, I haven't. This is, again, you got to get creative when you're raising money, and there's so many different ways to get people's attention. He's just opened a new business called the One Life Club.
Yep.
And I applied to be a member.
Oh, signed it up. Okay.
And I got through the interview process. And I'm a startup founder. I don't have the money for the membership, and I wasn't doing this to waste anyone's time. But I proposed them equity in the business for a membership plus a larger investment to get a higher stake. And they said, look, we can't take you. We can't take this opportunity because it doesn't fit the criteria of how we take members. And if we do this for you, then there's a million other guys that are going to try the strategy. But I'm on their radar.
How much they're charging for the club?
I think it's $10,000 or $15,000.
Yeah. For 1 year? Or
yeah.
Okay. So you need to pay 16,000 and you need to go to
10 or 15,000, something like that.
Is it done in Brisbane, I think? Gold.
No, it's in there's events in Melbourne.
Oh, there are events in Melbourne.
Yeah.
So you are getting you get trained by Simon.
Right away. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
You get access to their whole network. I mean, this isn't an advertisement.
That's right. But it looks like it. It looks like. But I love it.
It's a really cool business, and he's someone I really look up to. And the way he presents on camera, his authenticity. That's why I reached out for him to invest. I always, if you go on my my LinkedIn, every single person who's like the tippy top, who like the Gary V's of the world, I fucking messaged every single one of them.
You should know how to message. That's it. You should knock the doors, whether it opens or...
Yeah, and it's also like...
It's the second thing. You need to, in the first step, you need to try it, give it a try, see how it goes. Okay, then move to the next person. That's it.
Yeah, and I'm also a big believer that I'm going to get there no matter what.
Yes.
And every rejection I can use to add to the story.
Yep. Knock, knock, knock until the door opens. Otherwise, until the door breaks.
Exactly. Yeah. Sometimes you got to kick the door down.
Yeah.
And I knock all day. I don't care.
That's really good approach on you. How do you handle criticism or negative feedback on your business?
I think I handle it well. It's hard not to take negative feedback personally, but I always use it as an opportunity to learn and to grow. So negative feedback, we welcome at Pretty Privilege because we try and implement as much of that feedback as possible to grow. And as touching on what I touched on before, it's a customer-led growth, and we get led by the customers through positivity and through negativity. It's all the same to us because it just increases our connection with our audience and we solve those problems.
And your Pretty Privilege has a faceless content. So why you choose only the faceless content? You can put your face on the marketing strategy. What is the purpose of choosing those strategies?
Yeah, I don't think anyone wants to see my face.
Why? If you are particular and you know how to do the business, so you can show your face.
Our business is bigger than one face. Our business is about addressing an issue, and Pretty Privilege isn't named Pretty Privilege so pretty people can get privileges. We're not a business for that. The name is set ironically to redefine Pretty Privilege and open influencer-like privileges to everyone in our community that wants them. So we're exclusively inclusive, and that's what Pretty Privilege is.
So if a brand is collaborating with the Pretty Privilege, except getting the customers inside the box, so what are the other benefits the brands are majorly getting?
The brands are getting eyes from, our huge customer base, as well as being involved and connected to other huge brands. And we are, like I said, we're a channel for these brands to get that exposure and to increase sales, increase revenue on their end.
So what is the craziest marketing strategy other brands are using, which you observed?
Oh, I've seen a lot of really good ones. The Specsavers just did the best one. What they did, I think it was Specsavers anyway. They had at the Sydney airport, they had a billboard saying "Welcome to Melbourne," and then underneath it says "Should have gone to Specsavers." So it was. I think that was a really
that's a smart idea.
Yeah, really cool marketing.
Because when you misspell something or miswritten something, people tend to see that. It is like a negative marketing, but it really works well.
Yeah, and I think that's what we did with Pretty Privilege. I think the name has negative connotations, and we're about redefining it and opening up that conversation to an inclusive platform.
So if you compare Pretty Privilege with other giveaway companies, there are like hundreds of giveaway companies in Australia.
Yeah.
So why you wanted to be in that only one particular zone? You can choose other business because you are already an entrepreneur, you worked in the real estate and you have experience in hospitality. So you may have chosen other field. Why only the giveaway company?
I think calling us a giveaway company is not giving us enough credit because there is a lot of giveaway companies, but there's no Pretty Privilege. Number one, all other giveaway companies charge their members. We're not doing that. Number two, we are providing value outside of those giveaways that's genuinely saving people money. And number three, we're curating content that our audience wants and needs. So we're taking inspiration not just from giveaway companies, but we're looking at people like Broadsheet, Amex, Fashion Journal, and we're providing a more holistic approach, and the giveaways are a bonus.
That's good, bro. So what is the next plan for the Pretty Privilege?
To get bigger and bigger and bigger and provide more and more value for our customers. We go into app development at the end of the year, and with that app, it will come with a whole bunch of perks and extra benefits. So the next thing is to increase our dev side of things with the app development. It's incredible that we have a predominantly Gen Z audience using a website. And I'm the CEO. I wouldn't even use a website to do anything. So I don't know why I would expect our community. All we've done is to prove the concept, to build the brand, and now we will curate that app exactly how our database wants it.
So how you're going to take petty privilege globally?
So we have legal provisions to move into the UK. We want to increase the brand partnership side of things until we have brands we can take global. We can be a channel for Australian brands to hit the UK market, for UK members to access Australian brands, and then vice versa for the UK brands, and to just increase the value proposition and leverage it to the max. So our next step is at the moment the UK, but that's not for a little while.
Yeah, because all the giveaway companies in Australia are localized. They're not globally grown up companies. That really gives you more audience to come into. So I think many countries don't accept the giveaway concept of, did you hear about these things?
Yeah, I think there's different connotations with giveaway companies across the world. And we are way more of a platform for the brands, and we're going to utilize those brand partnership benefits to provide discounts to our members in so many areas. So even without the giveaways, there's going to be value for our audience. The giveaways, like I said, they're just a bonus.
Okay. What are your strategies for the global market?
I think each market has to be approached differently. The UK seems to be the most liked market, so we'll approach it in that way. But from a global perspective, it's no two things are the same. So it's just having a curated approach to each market is how we're going to globalize, and we're going to utilize our strategic partnerships from an investor point of view and from a brand point of view to open up doors that other people couldn't get open for them.
So collaborating with the brands, what are the tips and strategies you teach to your sales team to get the brands inside the petty privilege?
It's a good question. And the biggest thing we're doing internally as a team, instead of using sales strategies to get these brands, we are building up so much value within our brand that they're coming to us. Now, of course, at the start, there was a lot of cold outreach. I have automated LinkedIn messages going out to brands every day. I cold call brands that I like. We insta message brands. There is a relentless approach in every front to get brands, to the point I'll be at the checkout at a store and I'll be like, wait, have you guys heard of Pretty Privilege? Well, maybe you should partner with us. So yeah, the hustle doesn't stop.
You should knock the doors. That's where the opportunity opens in the first place. Can you explain me more about Petty Privilege?
So Pretty Privilege is a community that provides an array of benefits for its members. The first being prize giveaways. The second being partnership discounts that provide bespoke experiences, discounts on products and services, and a whole bunch of other benefits. And then the third being curated content that covers all areas of wellness, lifestyle, beauty, fashion, and travel.
So are you going to charge the subscribers, or is there any charges for them?
Currently, we are completely free, and we plan to stay that way for the foreseeable future.
No. So you're not going to charge them anything right now?
No. What I want to do is save you a lot of money before I charge you $1.
Then how do you make the revenue?
I don't make any revenue. And that's a great question. We currently are making our revenue on the brand side. So brands pay us to access Pretty Privilege and provide these bespoke experiences on products and services.
I think you are partnered with more than 60 brands in Australia.
Yes, we are.
And is there any brands that are collaborated with you, globally exposed?
Yeah, we've got a few really cool ones, and there's many more to come.
What is the most memorable giveaway you have given?
The most memorable giveaway out of the many we've done, funnily enough, is one of the smallest cost per giveaway we've ever done. It was the Fred Again DJ concert when he popped up in Melbourne, and we just got so much hype around it just before we launched that we couldn't believe the traction. So number one, we had, and the story behind the giveaway, I think, is what makes it the most memorable giveaway. We had our ops manager line up JP, the guy in the morph suit who is doing amazing things throughout the business. 2 a.m, he was the front in line for the tickets. We were the first in the whole of Melbourne to get the tickets. So he lined up at 2 a.m. for our community. And, you know, that's the dedication, because our community was saying, this is what we want. Okay, they got the tickets and we posted them for a giveaway, and it started going nuts. Comments, shares, we're getting real virality out of it. Just before we drew the winner, we get a message in our inbox. Do you have a permit to be giving away these tickets?
Oh.
And we didn't. So we were like, oh my God, what do we do? So it was one of those things where we're like, shit, do we end the giveaway, but we've promoted it? Are we going to burn all of our community? We don't want to raise people's expectations to not do it. Then we went back to them saying, hey, we're not actually charging for this. It's a free service. We're just giving it away to our community. We've bought the tickets. It's sort of like,
no, they're like, no, you're promoting your brand through it. So there was this back and forth, but what we did was we utilized the back and forth to buy ourselves more time until the giveaway was due to be drawn. We drew it,
gave the prize, apologized, had our lawyers argue back and forth with their lawyers. So anyway, we ended up paying more in legal fees than we did for the giveaway and for the prize, but our community loved it and respected it so much, it was worth, you know, the fear.
I have a great story to tell you. Nobody knows that you need a license to even play Spotify music in restaurants. Have you heard about that?
To play what?
Spotify music in Australia.
I didn't know that.
Yes, nobody knows it. Because you told me that there is a
That's
message
hilarious.
popped up. You know, I got a mail saying that you can't play the Spotify music in your stores just because it should be licensed. I was like, we are already paying Spotify,
But yeah,
and why I want to pay some license to just have a DJ? Because every DJ nights or every concerts or every events, they play the music. You know, when you are growing, people will start knocking doors like this.
Oh my God. And everyone also is just looking for their slice of the pie. And as soon as people see traction, then that's when also people come in and they scrutinize. So that's one thing we did a pretty privileged very early on. Australia is highly regulated for trade promotions. We have the best lawyers at Saniki Law Firm. Shout out to Tuch, our lawyer. And we have all of our permits in check, terms and conditions, everything is checked and scrutinized immaculately across the board to make sure that when and if we face the scrutiny, we are ready to answer those questions.
Is there any person that tried to bang you from back? I don't want the person, just tell the story. If somebody tried to screw you from the back, they wanted to, you know, shut down the particular...
There's been people reach out many times saying, hey, are you allowed to do this? Are you allowed to give this? There's people for no reason at all that scrutinize our platform other than just to scrutinize it. And I think Australia is a victim to this tall poppy syndrome mentality when people are growing too quick, that they want to deflate and shut it down. And people are very quick to say, oh, that's too good to be true. That's a scam. How are they doing this? But yeah, we take it all in our stride. We have conversations like this to explain the value proposition, to explain the business.
and yeah, that's why it's very important in Australia. It's so heavily regulated in every aspect, not just in trade promotions, to make sure if you're launching a business in Australia,
spend the money on legal early and get your house in order.
Yeah, you need to have a proper approach on the law firms. Otherwise, I think you can just call a couple of lawyers and then get a good idea.
Yeah, exactly.
And because, many people even don't know there should be a lot of regulations going from the back till somebody knocks your door.
And that's the last thing you want to do, is not check things and then get hit by a fine. And in the early stage of a business, that's what can destroy a business. So you're better to just spend the money early and at least give yourself the peace of mind.
Yes, I don't think so. It is wrong from the founders or the business people, because they don't know that there should be a regulation according to that particular law. Because the crazy thing is when I got a mail saying that you can't play Spotify music on it, I was like, seriously? Because Spotify has taken a legal license from the people who sell their music, and it plays. If I can't access that Spotify without some other extra license, I was like shocked, really, seriously. Because I don't know. So there are a number of things comes in between before you start, but you should just keep going, try to solve the problem like easy. if you have unlimited resource, what are the biggest giveaway you're going to give?
If I had unlimited resources, I would, give every single one of our members $1 million.
Just $1 million?
Yeah, if I could. But at the end of the day, all I want to do is provide the most amount of value to all of our members.
I think who has like customers for your brand from long time, so if they're a subscriber from Pretty Privilege, if they are even struggling with their daily life, if you even give 10K for them, it really matters for them.
Well, it makes a big difference. And I think how we view it is, instead of just the prizes being the value, we want people to pick up their phone, and if you're having a bad day, you can go and look at some of our content and that will give you a smile. And that's value that's external to superficial financial benefits, which is why I say the prizes are just one aspect of Pretty Privilege. We are wanting to create a community that provides a more emotional connection rather than just these superficial influencer-like aspirational prizes.
Yes.
So that's just the top, but it gets a lot deeper.
Yes. What is the most rewarding part being CEO for the Pretty Privilege company?
Conversations like this. I think it's just, it's nice to see the progress, to reflect on the progress, to be in a position where I can provide advice to other people in the same boat who are about to experience the journey, who can look back on their journey with nostalgia and see that I'm, just fighting to push the needle forward every single day and getting to do it with people I love and in a area that I'm so passionate about.
That's really amazing. What is the most surprising thing you have learned from your audience?
The most surprising thing is that exclusivity is trumping price. The harder something is to get, the more exclusivity experience, the more bespoke, the more curated, the more value that holds to our audience, opposed to just a $10,000 whatever that you can buy at any store that anyone can access. So yeah, I think exclusivity over price.
I think we are trying to do the podcast from last 2 months, I think.
Yeah.
And today it was done, and I really appreciate that you are here to express your great things about your company and share the knowledge, whatever you are having for the Aussie people there. And thanks really coming for.
Thank you so much for your time, and I think an incredible job, and thanks so much for giving me a platform.
You too. That's great.
Thank you.
Yep.